One. Hey guys, Daniel here. This is another video. In this video, I am joined by the amazing Dee Cunniffe. Dee is a brilliant colorist. Currently, he's doing crossover at Image Comics, which has been such a great series. I think I made a review on the trade paperback a while ago. I'm not sure. You guys can go look for that. He's also gotten to work on comics such as Flood, The One You Feed, House of L, Redneck. We write Titans, Youth, Runaways, Hound, Olympia, and about a million more. He's one of the most prolific colorists in comics, and he does it all while being from Ireland. And so I was lucky enough to get some blackmail on Dee, so he's kind enough to come onto the channel. But Dee, thank you so much for coming on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I actually completely forgot about this, and got stuck into a load of pages on the House of L that I'm finishing up on. And I looked up to Twitter and I saw you'd sent me a message at 5 to 7, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I should normally remind my guests the day before, but I figure I like to make them worry. I like to make them sweat because it makes them the best interviewer they could possibly be. You know what I'm saying? So, and if you do this interview properly, you might get your family back. No promises, but I'll see how I feel.
Keep the kids.
Keep the I can have them. Wow. See, look, his generosity knows no bounds. But absolutely so many different questions to get into. And so before we get into all the current stuff you're doing, let's just talk about, your origin story. What was your first ever comic book memory, or how did you even get into comics?
Well, I guess in the mid 80s, when I was about your age, in like 1985 or 86.
Oh, with your dinosaurs. Oh, no.
And I would have been, trying to get into drawing comics, sending stuff into 2000 AD and stuff like that. And I was never really that great at it. So you're at a great place now, and anyone who wants to get into comics now is in a great place where you can make comics and be seen straight away. And I did animation in college, and then it was before the internet. So I was coloring comics before the internet, when I was like scanning stuff and didn't know where to go with it.
I was about to say, I thought you used just crayon. I thought it was just you just used all crayon.
Well, no, I was doing it in Photoshop too. And didn't know where to go with it because I didn't know how to get into comics. And I kind of forgot about it for about 10, 15 years.
Oh.
And it was about 2010, I guess, when I said, oh, I can probably get into comics now. And I just started doing bits and pieces and contacting people out in the world, and people like Lee Lockridge and Len O'Grady and Matt Wilson, and just getting in, working as a flatter for them.
Yes. I had Lee on the channel, and when I was chatting to him, he was like, oh, you're from, like, when I even before I asked him for an interview, when I first sent him a message, he was like, oh, you're from Ireland. I have a guy out in Mead who, flats my stuff. And I was like, oh, right. And then he was like, oh yeah, Dee Cunniffe. I was like, oh, Dee's the guy from Mead who flats your stuff. I was like, oh, I just thought it was some just guy, but I didn't realize you flatted, the work of other people. But yeah.
So
you just started.
Well, that's how I got my start. And so from that, like, you can, with flattering, you can learn colors, or like process, color palettes. Then you can make connections, and people will pass your name on from one person to another. So, like I was working with Lee, who put me on to Matt Wilson, and then working with Matt, he was working with Michael Walsh, who put me then in contact with Dylan Burnett for Interceptor. He needed help out with Interceptor, which put me in contact with Donnie, because Donnie had written Interceptor. And then there we go. And then from that book with Donnie, then that led on to crossover, Redneck, Flood, Paybacks. So it's all about making connections and making very good relationships. And if you can do the work well, fast, cheap,
well,
two of those three, you don't get all three.
Well, yeah. And look, listen, like my tactic is just get lots of blackmail, lots of photos, lots of family members, and sometimes when they're being difficult, just chop off a finger every now and again. It doesn't hurt just to get the message out. But yeah, you can choose either my way or Dee's. It's all the same, isn't it? It's all
put the work in or be a felon.
Well, I mean, one and the same, isn't it? Being a comic creator, being a felon, practically the exact same. But no, absolutely. So what's fascinating to me is that, do you still flat work for other colorists? Is that something you do?
Yes.
Yeah, and you run is that like a side business for you? Like you flat?
No, well, it's like but with 10 years and hundreds of thousands of pages under my belt, I can do flat a page fairly quick.
Oh, actually, like you can just do it quick enough.
Oh yeah, like I've got loads of shortcuts and techniques that I use. I can look at a page and say, well, I can do it this way, I can do it that way. So I can still flat quickly. So
I
I
assume
don't,
you have your kids next to you and you just have them flatten it. Is that
well, I did train the eldest son and he did it for one summer and then gave up on it. And the youngest has no interest in it.
well, absolutely. But yeah, so like flatting for just you flat for other colorists, and then you so flatting for you. You also, I imagine you do flat your own work.
No, I don't.
No,
No,
you actually you do flat your own work.
no, I don't. I send it out.
Oh, you send it out and get flat by someone else. That's really interesting.
See, I'm running a very strange industry where I could actually flat my own work and not flat anybody else's and still make the same amount of money.
Oh,
But you know, I like to work with Matt and Lee and Dave McKay, and uh, I get to see much better pages, and again, I get to maybe make more connections.
yeah, absolutely. So I just really, for anyone watching who's not aware of what flatting is, maybe there just sounds like a word to them. Can you tell everyone what flatting is?
Okay, when you get your artwork in from the inker,
Yeah.
it's black and white. Flatting is just a basic process of breaking up all the separate elements on a page into flat colors that are easy selectable with the magic wand in Photoshop for building up your correct colors in the coloring process.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So everyone, if any famous comic book colorists out there need, someone to flat their work, look no further than Dee, who I'm sure.
I know. I'm kind of done with flatting.
Yeah, just
But
take. But what if someone hypothetically had one of your family members? Then would you be swayed?
Probably.
Well, actually, maybe I should. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Definitely do not kidnap these family members. Less than 10 minutes into the interview, and I've already went straight to that. But yeah, no, something we've just been kind of glancing on is Crossover, which
Yeah.
is such a brilliant series. Issue 11 I have ordered, and I also do have the trade paperback. But that's such a brilliant series, and it's one of my favorite. It's just so original, and I love all the characters that are getting thrown into it. But how did Crossover even come about to you? Because you knew Donnie, of course, because of stuff like Interceptor. So is that
Yeah. Well, I previously I'd done Interceptor. Initially, I'd done Interceptor with Donnie and Dylan, and then that led to the Paybacks Volume 2 that I did with Donnie and Jeff, and we worked well together then on the Paybacks as a team. And Donnie was over a couple of years ago for Donnie and Jeff were over a couple of years ago for signing in the Big Bang, and I was up at it, and we were talking about it, and there was a couple, 2 or 3 years had passed in between it being talked about and me bringing it up and saying, "Hey, is that still going? Do you want me to do some test pages on it?" Because I thought he got somebody else in on it, and he was like, "No, it's always yours." So,
nice.
so it was always there. It was and it's an interesting book to work on because we get to do lots of different styles and effects and stuff on it. So it's a fun book.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It just feels so fun.
Yeah, and you're getting to work on so many characters.
Oh, yeah, all these like different image properties and stuff like that. But it's such a unique concept, and so working with Donnie is obviously something you've done before. And so Jeff, you've done a bit of work with Jeff, who's the artist of this series.
Yeah, Paybacks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, Paybacks. You both got to work together. So getting to work with this team, does it feel like you all kind of know each other's strengths and it all kind of gels? And especially use the colors when you're working so much with Jeff's work, you kind of know what his strengths are and what he's good at, and you notice some things that he does a lot in his work. So is that fun for you getting to work with like different artists and seeing what they excel at?
Well, yeah, every book and every artist is a different challenge, and if you were just working on with the same artist on the same stuff day in day out, it'd be very boring.
Yes.
So getting to work with on different books with different teams, you get to learn new skills every day, and every page is a new challenge, and you have to figure out how you're going to approach things, which keeps the job interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And so, yeah, just with Crossover, in general, this is such like a vibrant book with all these different image characters. So do you have a specific color palette per book? Like, for one character like Ellipsis, you'll maybe have her skin tone saved. Is it stuff like that, or what color her suit is?
It will change over time when I pull from one page and it pulls a slightly different color, and You know, the color I have ellipsis on page 1 is certainly not the same color that she is on page 100, because there's been changes in it, and also depending on, you know, is it a night scene or is it in under the dome, or you know, the local color affects how character look. But with any of the zips, that I'm using an old 64 color palette, so they all pretty much have the same color tones.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the zips, so I assume you're applying to the like the dots around the
Yeah, zip tones.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I was actually about to ask them. That's all you as well. Like Jeff
Well,
doesn't.
no, it would have been. Oh, I like that. Jeff doesn't put the zips in, because if he did that, it'd be black dots because of the inks. But it was something that had been decided very early on in the process of how to differentiate the zips from the real people.
Oh
And even
yeah,
like in
absolutely.
certain issues, like in the, was it issue 5 when they, or issue 6 where they're in the dome and Ellie's having a huge fight, the Walking Dead zombies are in black and white. They're not in zips. So, you know, getting to have fun with character stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so do you find that much research has to go on? Because if you're doing something like the powers, which is Bendis and Omens, do you have to look at maybe a specific issue of the powers, or does like do you get reference and stuff like that? Are you already aware of half of
Oh
this?
no, I'd be aware of most of the things I'm working on, but I would of course go and get reference, because nobody's going to remember a costume color
Yeah, oh
correctly
yeah,
from memory
absolutely.
and things like that. You know, Google is your friend.
Yeah, definitely. And so what I love about this is how this is including like some real comic book creators, and like even some of them, like Zdarsky got to do an issue, and he's of course my nemesis. But Zdarsky got to do an issue, and it was such a good issue. But like characters basically come back, you know, that characters created, that comic book creators created, and they get to see these characters. So let me ask you this: out of all the comic books you've ever done, if you could bring one of your characters to life, who would it be? I'm making you
Who would I,
think here.
who would I bring to life? Oh,
Either hunt you down, maybe it has
Friendo.
to
Friendo.
Friendo.
Yeah, a book that we did with Martin Simmons and Alex Packnadell, where you put on these kind of googly type glasses, and you had a computer AI guy who guided you around, but Friendo wasn't particularly well programmed, and he was quite corrupt.
And
But
so you'd have him protect you from this person going around killing comic book creators.
I'm not sure how well he'd do with that.
Yeah,
But
that's a different matter, isn't it? It's like it's
yeah,
great to have Friendo hanging around until someone's trying to kill you. Then it's like maybe I shouldn't, you know. But yeah, so what was your favorite thing you've got to color and crossover so far? Is there a specific page or something that you're just really proud of?
there's a couple of pages of kind of nothing stuff like that. There's one in maybe it's issue 10 with it's like a full page splash of the Lone Star Motel or the Dome Star Motel.
I literally just had the
Yes.
page open.
Yeah. I love a page like that, which is just setting mood and tone, and there's nothing really dramatic happening in it. But I got to, you know, the lighting on that I really enjoyed.
I love the neon effect off the sign.
Yes, getting to do something like that and spending time figuring out how am I going to make something look like that is
Yeah.
gives you purpose during the day, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And so is it important for you to kind of portray the tone and emotion of the scene through the colors?
Well, that's probably the most important part of a colorist's job, is to relay the feelings that are being expressed through the script and through the art.
Yeah.
If I colored that wrong, it'd look wrong, you know.
Yeah.
So if I counterintuitively try to emote a different, if I did that bright daylight and the lights were off, there wouldn't be the same feeling on that, you know. So it's just it's I'm not showing off. I'm helping the script through the art, through the colors, be cohesive, and we're all telling the same story and we're all giving the same feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And so is that something, you know, you're rather particular about? Like, do you look at paint and say, no, I don't think I nailed the atmosphere enough and I need to kind of tweak it till it's better? Or are you kind of happy to just say, no, I think it's good enough?
There's certain things you spend a lot of time on them, and you have to hit a point where it's okay, that's good enough.
Oh yeah.
If they can, well, you if you set yourself, say, 8 pages to color today, and you're giving them an hour and a half, 2 hours each,
Yeah.
and you have to give yourself the deadline. And if at an hour and a half or 2 hours, that page looks good enough,
Yeah.
leave it there, move on, get all the other pages done, and then have a look back on what you've done during the day. And if some of those pages aren't quite good enough, then you can spend a bit more time on it. But if you just spend 3 or 4 hours making every page perfect, you'd never get any work done.
Yeah, absolutely. As much as I'm sure you would like to sit there and try and perfect it. But like one page in particular I just really loved was this page. I think from what issue is this? Issue 9. I just think that's such a good page. But the lighting wise, I got it there. I know that a lot of colors struggle with lighting, especially when there's all these different light sources. And like I was just making jokes at the start, I should have put in different types of lamps to just shine on me from different angles. Is lighting something you struggle with at all, Nanny?
Yes, and
Oh yeah, really? It
yeah,
must be
like
so hard.
there are colorists out there who are amazing at dealing with multiple light sources and
Yeah.
really good reflections and stuff. I just slap it on the page and say, yeah, that looks good enough.
Here's what you should do. You just silhouette every single character.
Absolutely.
You get away with that, I'm sure. No, it's your artistic interpretation. It's obviously a metaphor for human greed. You have to look closely at it. The fact that they're all shadows. But yeah, and like even in a page like this, we can see there's different light sources coming from different spots.
Well, an awful lot of your shadows and your light source stuff will be indicated in the inks,
Oh yeah.
and you're relying on the inker to and the artist to do the heavy work there.
Yeah, and there was one moment from issue 1, you have to make me remember this. And it was like this double splash page of I think the dome exploding and all
Yeah.
this like all the lights were flying. And I remember I was doing a review and I stopped for a second. I had to look at it because I'm always so impressed by that double splash page. So is it, do you put more care into stuff like double splash? Because there's so many different colors shining through. And do you know this like the splash that I'm talking about?
Yeah, where the dome breaks through.
Yeah, was that
Yeah.
hard for you? Do you remember getting to work on that?
I do. For the first 4, 5, 6 pages of crossover, we did multiple iterations of because
Oh,
we were finding the look and the feel of the book. So the we were toying with the real world being in black and white and the comic stuff being in color, and then maybe that was a bit weird looking, and maybe the real world was very desaturated, and so we were just back and forth with those particular pages
wow.
for maybe 3 or 4 months before we got started on the book proper. So that splash page, we kind of ended up with, okay, we're going to uh, the real crossover world is going to be quite dull and desaturated, except where there's big light source.
Yeah.
Comic book characters will be zipped, and so that initial spread is actually quite desaturated behind all the zip and the lighting effects.
Oh wow, that's actually really interesting. I didn't know.
Yeah,
So for the first issue, did you actually color some of the pages like a decent amount of times before you guys
yeah.
kind
The
of
first 4 or 5 pages, there's probably 6 or 7 approaches to each of the pages just to get to where we needed to be.
Oh wow. And so is it a
That does,
lot like
that doesn't happen with all books. With most books, I can look and go, yeah, well, this is the approach I'm doing, and that's what you're getting.
yeah.
If it's wrong, the editor or the artist or the writer will let me know. But it's rarely that wrong that we can't find a happy medium on it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think just that's like I think crossover is such a unique medium because there's no other comic like this, I think, currently going on. It's like every issue is just so brilliant. And crossover is brilliant. Everyone should go check it out. But before we move on, let me ask you, I imagine a lot of it is like a collaborative process, especially with the artists. Like, do you ever get notes from artists?
Well, with every book, if an artist will, in their brain when they're drawing it, will have an idea of how they want it to look. And the thing about working collaboration is that the artist will tend to trust the colorist to do their job. Okay. And out of professional courtesy, nobody really rocks the boat with saying that's not great. But if there's something that's very very wrong that veers away from the script, or there's a wrong time of day, or the artist specifically wanted a blue t-shirt because it's important to the story, you'll get notes on that. But if it's somebody saying, "Oh, I want a blue t-shirt because I like blue t-shirts,"
Yeah.
then that's the kind of note you can ignore.
Yeah, definitely. And I assume all crossovers just you ignoring what anyone else says. You say, no, I'll do it this way. No, no, absolutely. But yeah, let me add, that's something that Lee brought up, which is fascinating. Do you have to know what time of day it is? Like, does it ever say that in the script?
It doesn't always say it in the script, but the good script writers will put time of day, so you know that, so sometimes you get a script page, it doesn't say time of day, you look at the artwork and it's like, oh, this could be any time of the day. Sometimes it's very easy to say, okay, well, I can see the sun is at the bottom of the horizon, so that's either sunset or dawn. Or if it's very black backgrounds with cones around, or circles around the lights, it's nighttime. But most scripts will say early morning, do your thing.
Yeah, and so do you look at the script before getting into the colors? Just like
you have to
get the tone. Do you act? Is that
you have to
really?
When the script arrives in, you read the script, make a few notes on, okay, here's a thing that I need to look up, what sunrise in the desert looks like, go get some reference for that. Oh, this character's come up, I've never seen this character before, I'll go find out what that character is. If you don't read the script, you're not collaborating with the writer.
Yeah.
You have to read the script.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's actually really fascinating. So, like, and you just put up there research. You put a lot of research into your projects. Do you tend to have to do research, or can some projects you can just get away with it?
No, I think that's one of the most important things with a new book is putting the time into research things, because say like with We Ride Titans,
Yeah.
which I've never done kaiju before, or robots. I think there was one kaiju robot battle in issue 3 of the crossover for one page. And when I was asked, would I like to work in this book, like I jumped at the chance, because it's going to be a brand new learning curve for me. So I did. I went out and I did a lot of research on how other robot kaiju mecha books look, and I watched Real Steel and Pacific Rim and all that sort of stuff, and I kind of in my head absorbed all of that stuff, and I said, well, I'm going to do it completely differently. I'm going to do it much softer.
Yeah.
That's a much softer approach than I'd normally take in a book, because I wanted to try something different. I could have colored it exactly like I colored crossover or something, and there'd be no fun in that. So it's every book is a challenge in itself, and I wanted to try and stretch a different muscle with how I colored Rewrite Titans, and that came from hours of research, of reading and
Yeah.
Google search and movies and things like that, to see how other people approached it, and when I could either take their approach
Yeah.
or assimilate it and add my own bits and pieces into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love how you just said you watched some films for each. I bet you were just sitting there while you should have been working, watching films.
No, that never happens. The
Anyone
films,
came in, you said, I was just researching.
no, never happens. I work from 7 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. The TV is or the movies are on over here. I'm working here. I tend to listen more than watch, but
No rest at all.
yeah.
That's why by the time end of this interview, you'll just have a full page colored, I'm sure.
No, because I'm not near my workstation.
That's the only reason.
The workstation is there.
That's the only reason. If you were near that, you'd be like, yeah, well, so, yeah.
Yes.
Repeat the question. Repeat the
I
question.
wouldn't be paying attention at all.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd probably just be looking at my face and like looking at all the different light sources. But yeah, absolutely. And like We Write Titans, that's a brilliant book you just brought up there. But yeah, so do you find that your colors tend to vary on the theme of the book? Like for a horror book, obviously you wouldn't give it such these bright light colors, and then if it is a horror book, you give these darker, reds and black. So do you find, or does it just kind of apply on what the scene needs, or do you find that when it comes to a specific book or the theme of the book, the colors will kind of vary on
Yes, the theme would very much dictate how I would approach the palettes in a book.
that.
If something like well, yeah, is that the single issues or that Lucifer you've got there?
Oh, these loose for yeah, they're the single
Yeah.
issue.
If you look at that and compare that to say Runaways.
Yeah.
Runaways is bright and pink and pallety and fun. Those Lucifer issues are dark and dingy because the script and the art calls for a specific approach to it. If I put Runaway colors into Lucifer,
Yeah.
it wouldn't look right. And if I put Lucifer colors into Runaways, it wouldn't look right. So the art and the story dictate how I'm going to approach it.
Yeah, and so do you create a color specific? Because I know the colorist of Watchmen, John Higgins, did this. Do you create a color palette just before coming onto a book, or just a mood board of what you think this book should be or feel like?
More of a mood board.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
And
like, what would you have on that mood board? Does it depend on the project?
like for for We Write Titans, say
Yeah.
it would have been a folder full of robots and reptiles and sci-fi cities and that type of thing, just so as I could look at them and go, well, that's how hundreds of other people treat these various things. So
And does that help you?
it does, because it helps me. I can look at a page and I can visualize in my brain what I want it to look like, but I don't necessarily know sometimes how to transfer what's in my brain through my hand into the screen. So having a still from a movie or a page from another comic to look at to see how did they do that. So I'm it's not copying it, but it is stealing from other artists because that's just part of what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of like coloring kind of feels like cinematography in some ways.
Yes.
Like you're looking at the shot and you're picking out colors that you think, and there's obviously like, I don't know if you ever see this on Twitter, but there's this account that'll post a still and then post the colors that go into it.
Yeah, I hate those because
You
because you've got this image from the Matrix, whatever, and it's thoroughly green with a couple of small little areas of not green in it, and then you've got the big blocks of colors down here, as if and they give each of those colors equal weight.
Oh, really?
What I'd like to see is, well, okay, so this image is 80% green, 10% this bit of yellow. It works great to see what the colors look like, but it just annoys me that they're not weighted.
Yeah, absolutely. And I imagine, and like there's some more, there's something that I noticed came up, I think it was also in Olympus, but like these type of pages where it's black and white.
Yes.
I imagine that's like, because and I would notice like just in crossovers, while you're doing a lot of experimental stuff and trying out new things, just as a colorist, like, the zip marks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So is it difficult for you to do these type of pages, or just what's your process? Because I just thought.
Oh, I love those pages. I love those pages.
Actually.
Yeah, because they're rest pages.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So looking at that, I can go, oh yeah, that spread, that's half an hour. That's me.
You can just toss around with it, basically.
That's me getting a 2 hour or 4 hours work done.
You should call Donnie and go, Donnie, this is genius. People are gonna love it if you did a whole book of just this. I can feel it. But yeah, you get away with that. But really, you love doing these type of pages. Because I imagine a lot of it, is it just Jeff doing the inking and stuff like that?
Yeah, so that's just Jeff doing the inks, and they come to me in black and white, and then from reading the script, it's like it's somebody drawing it on a copybook, but just having it black on a copybook, it was like, oh well, then maybe I'll pull out some stuff in red to sort of got some details and stuff like that. But
is all the red in this image you?
Yes.
Also, like, is it the little drawings are by Jeff just down here?
All the drawings are by Jeff, but it's all black and white. So I was just having to make the decision, okay, I'm going to pull out that big, is it a BAMF or something across the top of it in red, just to highlight that and make that pop a bit more.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. And just like as a colorist, can you even look back at some of your earliest work in different seasons, or is it too hard for you?
No, looking back on something I did last week, or a book that came out last week, I hated.
Really?
Yeah, looking back at something I did last year, I'm okay with it. Looking back on something from 2 years ago, I'm very fond of it, but I can see all the mistakes I made. But it's all learning. but it's
Yeah.
looking at something I just finished, I hate.
Trust me, I can assure you, no one hates your colors. No one hates your colors. But another book I'd love to touch on is Olympia. This is one of my favorite series. And you got to work with, was it Kurt you got to work with on Youth?
Yes.
Was that the first time you guys worked together?
No, I worked on Mayday, Black Mask book with Alex and hang on, I think Mayday. I don't have a copy of it there, but
yeah, Mayday. So that's the first time you worked with Kurt on Mayday?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then from that, then we did, myself and Alex and Kurt did a 10-page short that appeared in Haas's panel by panel, I don't know, issue 10 or 12 or something. And then
panel by panel, not bad.
Yeah. And then Olympia came along, and out of Olympia, then we have Youth, season 1 and season 2. I'm starting season 3 next week, and we have another Image book coming up this year as well.
Oh, and now so I'll have to just drag you onto the panel. That means even more blackmail. I'm already sick of taking photos. But no, actually, this book is fantastic. And your colors really shine through, and there's like just some brilliant pages there. Just some fantastic. But yeah, so like for regular stuff like rain or fire or stuff like that, do you have like specific colors saved, or just for specific game? Like if you're ever doing a window, you'll have, okay, well, maybe I'll just put this color in. Do you have specific colors, you know?
Yes, I have full back colors. Like if you look at any of my books, the eyeballs on most people are the same color depending on light sources, or their teeth are the same color, or I'm very fond of 25% cyan for windows. And like I have full back colors that I will lay down. They may change, but they are very definitely, oh, it's a window, it's this color. It's the sky, it's this color. They may change during the rendering of a page, but I do have full back colors.
Nice. And so did you color the covers for Olympus?
Yes.
Because something.
Well, actually, they're panels from the book.
Oh, are they? They're just panels taken out of the book?
Yes.
I never realized that. Oh, man. And what I love is that you can also see the little zip tones. I mean, it doesn't come up on camera.
No, you can't see it on camera there, but in Olympia, there are pages which are from the comic.
Nice.
And then there's real world stuff as well. So that was pre-crossover for me as well. So it was working out with the zip effect as well there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so do you find that, I mean, like maybe if there's a character in the back of a panel who isn't mentioned in the panel, can you just say, listen, it sure has to be orange, just why not? Or this can be blue? So do you feel like there's a bit of a leniency with some characters in background, or just random things you can say, this color?
Random stuff as long as you can't, as long as you see them but you're not aware of them, that's fine. It doesn't matter what color they are.
Really? Like you can't have them popping out?
No, well, why would you pop out somebody in the background who's of no importance? That's one of the jobs of a colorist, is to, if you have, two talky heads and a random person in the background, and you make the random person pop out in the background, that's jarring to your eye. You're going, oh, what's that guy? And that takes you out of the story. That's part of the coloring process, is to make the things that are necessary for the story pop out of the page and help the page flow. And the things that aren't necessary, they're there, but they're not important.
Yeah, and so I imagine for a lot of characters, like you've gotten to color, I imagine all of them have like their designs already, like they have set colors. Do you ever get to come up with colors for a specific character? Or
well, any of our books, any of the creator owned books or books that are that have no history behind them, we decide that colors.
Oh, really? Yeah. And so it's a lot of it. It's just you and the artist coming up with it.
Yeah. Well, like with Rewrite Titans, Sebastian and Trey had come up with a color decision on what the Titan looked like.
Yeah.
So that was already decided for me.
Nice.
But we have, if any other Titans come on, I decide those ones.
Like I imagine it's every colorist dream. But yeah, absolutely. Out of all the books you've ever done, is there one that I asked this for my guest? Do you think there's any Dee Cunniffe comic? If you had to say, all right, this is my this is my comic. Is there any comic particular that you think really that you just like?
I think there's a few of my earlier books which wouldn't be very representative of what I do now, but are books that very much helped me find my voice. Would be
Nice.
books like uh, the Dregs,
Yes.
um, which I was able to uh, Lonnie Zach's script was very in depth, and it was one of those beautiful scripts where it's so full of detail, and Eric's work was so detailed, and
Yeah.
I was able to really dig deep to find me
Yeah.
on those pages. And then, a book again with Eric and Ryan K. Lindsay, Eternal, was another
Yeah.
beautiful book, which I'd very much, for me, is very much from how I feel I am represented in books. Um, but every book is me, and every
Yeah,
book,
I actually I can absolutely see that. He in every book you obviously put some of yourself in that.
yes.
Just every single book. Like that's why colorists, I think you could give 100 colorists the same page, every page look different.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That's what I don't know if people understand it, but that's definitely the case. Like I could give a page to you, Lee Lowridge, a couple of other people. Lee obviously wouldn't do it because he just hates me, but you all would do it, and you'd come back with a page that
Well, that's
look.
like the color jams and the colorist jams on Twitter, where somebody puts up a picture and you get maybe 30 or 40 completely different interpretations of that same image. But that's the thing for editors and putting together a creative team, is finding the voice that suits the book you're putting out.
Yeah.
And I've been chosen to color a book, and after 3 or 4 pages, I've made the decision, or the decision has been made for me, that I'm absolutely not right for this book.
Oh, have you found out with specific comics? You just
Oh yeah, it's certainly, there's certain artists, or
Wow.
not artists, not personally, but artwork that I just can't color. That I look, my colors look deplorable on. So when I'm offered a job, the first question is not budget or how much you're paying me. It's who's the artist,
Oh
and
yeah.
can I see their pages? Because there's no point me getting really excited about doing a book that I'm absolutely not a fit for. And like I'd be underperforming, and I'd be doing the artist and the book a disservice by fight. I've had books in the past where licensed books, where when I was first starting books for published publishers, that I just I wanted to make a name for myself, that I struggled on every page, and it shows on every page that I struggled the whole way through it.
Oh really?
Yeah, I'm not going to say which ones, but they're out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But so that's what I love. I think with art, if there are some like I think in all your books, it seems like you and the artist work very well. But now I'm only realized that's obviously a conscious choice because you want to work with. I thought it was just look like, oh man, every book Dee does him and the artist work perfectly. But it's just a matter of you saying, okay, well, who is this artist looking at his work, saying, okay, I can work with that.
Yes.
Her work. So is that yeah, that comes up a lot.
Well, yeah. Well, like every book that I'm offered or asked to do I want to work on, I have to be able to work
Yeah.
with the artist, and not for me, but for the book, because my colors might look terrible on some artists, and I don't want to be making that artist look bad.
Yeah.
My job is there to help that art look better. So uh, it's a very conscious decision on my behalf of who I work with, not because of who they are, but because of how my colors will look with their work. Can I make their work look better, or if I make their work look worse, there's no point in me doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I can see that there. Honestly, I can't imagine you doing a bad job on any of the colors, so you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I can definitely see how maybe specific artists you wouldn't maybe there wouldn't be a nice dynamic there or something like that. But that's
Yeah,
really interesting to me. But so another thing I want to touch on is of course your Marvel work. Is it
yeah.
different for you working on these characters? Because like I said, if you're doing throw it out there, crossover, ellipsis, completely original character, that's something you can kind of, say, okay, well, I think this character would do that or this. But when it's like, give it a character from the Runaways who has a set Marvel history, you can't say, well, no, I think they should do this. So do you find that's different working on like the licensed stuff like DC and Marvel and stuff like that, as opposed to doing like your own stuff at Image and stuff like that?
Oh, absolutely. There's a history there of
Yeah.
hundreds and thousands of pages of what that character looks like.
Yeah.
And also, because it's licensed, I'm being hired to do what the editorial or what the publisher wants. So I do exactly
Mm.
what they want. I'm not going to fight against, and no editor is going to give you notes for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
99% of the notes you get from an editor, when you open that email and you swear and you get angry, and I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
You walk away for 20 minutes and you come back and you look at the email and go, yeah, you're right. I made a mess of that page, or that character absolutely would not have red hair or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
it is different working on licensed IP or for DC or Marvel, because there's a history there before you that you're just adding to. You're not trying to change it.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's really interesting. I didn't really realize that, but I imagine. Let me ask you this: is there any more pressure working on Marvel or DC as opposed to your Image stuff, or is it all kind of the same?
Uh, there's no real pressure on working on creator-owned stuff.
Oh, is there any at Marvel or DC? Do you
Well,
feel?
the pressure, yeah, because I've done a couple of shorts and stuff for DC, parts of anthologies and things like that, where I get to do Batman, and
Yeah.
that's a dream come true for me, is to work on Batman. But I'm working on a 10-page Batman story. I want to do 60 pages of Batman. So if I don't do a good job in those 10 pages, the opportunity to do a 60-page job is never going to happen. So you want to do your
Yeah.
best for that, for on a small job.
Yeah.
Because an editor will ask you, oh, okay, I need to fill in for 5 pages or 10 pages. You do the pages fast, you do them well. The editor look at them and go, yeah, okay, I'll give that person a call again
Yeah.
next time I need a job done. So you're all the time trying to impress people that you're good. Whereas with your creator-owned book, you're doing it for people to read it.
Yeah.
If you don't impress them, they won't buy it. So but the pressure isn't on me to impress anyone other than Donnie and Jeff. If they like it, then I know that it can go out. But whereas work for DC and Marvel, there's an editorial team, and then there's the history behind it. So there is a whole different set of pressures.
Yeah, and I've talked to so many creators, and that point always seems to come up. So it's just different territory working on Marvel and DC, because you don't have that. You don't have that home base because you're coming into something, you're doing it all over there. And
Yeah.
that's really interesting. But so another thing, graphic novel work. Have you ever got like I don't know, was this ever as a comic, or did you go straight into it as a graphic novel?
That one was just straight in as a graphic novel. That's actually out from Z2 at the moment.
Oh, is it? People
Yes.
go pick this up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everyone, you should go absolutely pick this up from your comic book store. I'd highly recommend you do. So it's a brilliant read. But so have you gone to do much graphic novel work, like just hopping on, you just getting straight into it?
It's a kind of a different beast altogether.
Oh, is it actually? That's what I was thinking. That's
Yeah,
what
because you're on a monthly grind with your Image books, your DC or your Marvel. So you can do, you're getting 5 books out this month, which means each book gets 5 days dedicated
Yeah.
towards it. With graphic novels, or like I'm working on Scream for Vengeance, Judas Priest graphic novel at Z2 at the moment, and it's 200 pages or something like that, and it's and say the House of L trilogy, which I'm working on as well.
Yeah.
It's harder to schedule those books. I kind of try to treat them as monthly books, and I get 20 or 30 pages done a month. But
Yeah.
because I don't have a monthly deadline on those books, sometimes they slip.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, I can imagine because you're always on that project that needs to be done by then. And it's like, okay, well maybe I can just take a back seat and then do it later. And then it's like, oh, later has come. Sorry, can you
Yeah, and it's when things go the House of L book, and I've finally got back into it now. I've got 50 pages or 40 pages before I'm finished, and because I put that on the back foot, I have loads of work to do on that to catch up.
wow. So House of Ed is is the current series you're doing right now?
The House of L. Do I have it there? The House of L, Claudia Gray and Eric Swadsky.
Nice.
That's volume 1. Volume 2 just came out, and I'm about 10 days away from finishing volume 3.
Nice. Not half bad, but yeah, everyone go pick up volume 1 and 2 from the local comic book store.
Whereas that we're actually doing another graphic novel with Alex DeCampi and Ryan Howe, Bad Karma, which is on Panel Syndicate, which is a creator-owned book, and the scheduling is on that is whenever the hell we want to. There's no pressure on that book.
So you can just kind of just like maybe knock it out as a page just if you want to or you feel like it.
Yeah, because it's our book, we're not under any, and we're not certainly not giving ourselves any deadlines on it. It happens when it happens. I think we're on chapter 5. We've got 2 more chapters left of it before it's finished, and we've been at it for 3-4 years or something. So
yeah, and
it's not hectic because it's creator owned, and we don't have a print deadline, and it's available on print on Panel Syndicate for pay what you want.
And it's put up on a digital format completely as well.
Yeah. So,
nice.
but it will. So on a very vaguely monthly schedule, it's on Panel Syndicate. But at the end of this, after 4 years' work, we'll have a 200-page graphic novel ready to go.
Finally put out. Is there a link anywhere can go if they'd like to just check out the comic anywhere? If someone can leave
it's Panel Syndicate.
Yeah, everyone go check out Panel Syndicate. I'll link that down in the description.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is something just popped in my head. Have you ever done anything with Scott Snyder? Didn't you recently?
Yeah, I'm working on I'm helping out Tula on colors for Barnstormers.
Oh, what a perfect segue there. You just brought a Barnstormer. So interesting. I can't believe this. I'm just so professional sometimes. Yeah, so you're helping out with Tula on that?
Yeah, I was, again, relationship wise, Lee Lowridge was working on, I think it was Bodies. He was doing colors on Bodies, and Tula was one of the artists on that particular book. And through doing flats for Lee on Tula's work, I got in contact with her through Thought Bubble, and I started doing flats for her Marvel work and for her cover work and her poster work. And over the years, we've developed a good working relationship where she can trust me enough to do 80% of the colors on a page, and then she comes in and does her magic on top of it. So we're working very closely on Barnstormers. I've done a few covers with her like that, where I sort of know maybe what she's going to do. Sometimes I get it completely wrong. Yeah, she has a completely different. It's very hard working with an artist who normally
colors their own stuff. Yeah,
yes.
I get that like it must be a different beast as well, like we were touching on at the start.
Yes, so you're trying to second guess yourself over, what would they do? And I think with how I'm working with Tula at the moment is that I'm not going to try and second guess what I think she would do. I'm just going to do what I would do, and then she'll come in afterwards and she'll do her beautiful textures and completely different hue saturation in the sky to really change it to look like her. But it is both of us working together, to create the final result.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And so that's the first time is that the first time you, or is that let me phrase it. Is that the first time you've ever worked with an artist who also colors their own stuff? And or have you done this before? And then if you have done it before, did the other artists give you feedback and say, here's how I would do it? Or
Yeah, I've worked with, I did, I helped out Michael Walsh on a new book he's launching this year. He was hit with some with a deadline, and I did, I can't remember, 70 or 80 pages of me trying to approximate what I think Michael would do,
yeah.
and then him coming in afterwards and making because it's not, I wouldn't be able to be exactly what he does. He made his changes on it, but we kind of discussed. He'd do a page, he'd make the palette, and then he'd go, okay, the next 10 pages look like this. So I'd be able to just run off his palette, try and approximate his style. He came in afterwards and totally changed it into his style. So,
Oh, nice.
but I've worked with a few artists like that, with Christian Ward on Tommy Gun Wizards, or not, Machine Gun Wizards. Don't sue me. Machine Gun Wizards, where Sammy would send over the art to me. I would do a basic color palette run through with how I would approach it, and then Christian would come in and do his weird wacky wizardry over the top of it. There's kind of a symbiotic relationship happening there, with I'm allowing an artist to speed up their process,
Yeah.
and I'm absorbing some of their process at the same time. So we're benefiting from each other in that way.
Yeah, I didn't realize, like, before I came on, like, but it turns out that a lot of your coloring jobs, you always challenge yourself and you're always doing something new or a new format or coming up with these new, coloring concepts and stuff like that. So is it important for you when you're coming onto a book to challenge yourself and come up
Oh,
with?
absolutely. Every day is a school day. Yeah. If I'm not learning something new that I can bring somewhere else, to another book or to another project further down the line, then it's not worth
Can
doing.
you ever just like do a book and just relax and do, okay, well, I'll just do what I know, or does it always have to be something that's new and
It's
challenging?
always something new. But
Oh, really?
say a book like Redneck, which is coming towards, we've got 3 issues left before we're finished on Redneck,
Yeah.
and issue 1 and the last issue 32 are completely different looking. I hate what issue 1 looks like because I'm happy with how 32 looks like. And that's a constant. If I had to do 32 issues of that book and
Yeah.
make issue 32 look like what issue 31 or issue 1 looked like, I would have hated it, because I'm a very different colorist this year than I was 5 years ago when I started that book.
Yeah. I'd imagine.
So it's you can't do the same thing every day. You have to be changing and growing.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. And so like, and I think like in all your jobs, you always see so much, like, and I love earlier you were talking on putting much of yourself into your colors and stuff like that. And I think that's just something I didn't realize, but almost every creator does. They end up putting something of themselves on a page. And so something like Redneck, which of course yours, you just said you're wrapping that up soon. Is it going to be hard for you to say goodbye to these projects, or is it like, in a way, okay, I can finally open up my schedule and do something new?
Yeah,
It's a little bit of both, wouldn't it?
yeah. Well, there's that, like, Redneck would be the longest running project I've been on.
How
Where
many issues is that on?
it'll be 35 issues when we finish, or
Not
36
bad.
issues when we finish up, and it'll have run for 4 or 5 years. It was my first image book. It was kind of, it helped me, that book helped me get other work.
Yeah.
So it'll be sad to not be working with Lysandra anymore, because I've been working once, 6 times a year or 7 times a year. I'm working for a week with just Lysandra's work.
Yeah.
But again, he's going on to do the Corinthian at Nightmares Sandman book in with DC. So he couldn't always work in this book either.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely see that. And so let me ask you, just in general, because it seems like every week you just have a new comic coming out with someone. Without telling us the name, because I'm sure a lot of them are unannounced. How many comic books per week are you working on? Can you tell us that?
Well, I'll tell you now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
He's still
13, 14.
counting.
I have about 15 projects that I'm working on at the moment.
Get the boat. 15.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Don't
6,
reveal any of
7,
them.
8 of them, 9 of them are known, and the other 6 are unannounced, or nobody
Wow,
knows about yet.
15 per week.
No, not per week. It's just 15 projects that I'm
Oh, you're
in
working. Oh, yeah, yeah,
general
yeah.
working
Right.
on.
Dude, that's
I
crazy.
tend,
15
I,
projects you're currently working on, man.
yeah, but I think you'll find with all colorists, they will have, some of those projects are very long, encompassing, where I won't have to be doing much work on them at all. And then there's your monthly books, and then there's, you fit in other projects where you can. You'll find all colorists have, 10 to 15 projects on the go at any one time.
Listen, 2022 is certainly a good year for you. It definitely seems like a man can go. You absolutely deserve all those books. That's crazy. But so how many pages can you get done in a day as a colorist? What's the benchmark, or like what do you like to get done?
I'm happy with 5 decent completed
That's
pages.
good. Yeah, I reckon you get away with 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
And would
But
they
then,
all be on the same book, or would
no,
you as a colorist not? It's not like they'll all be different parts.
I w- I try to block my books that I can work on them in the same period, because there's a mental switch that I have to take between
Yeah.
each book, because I'm approaching differently. I've got different brushes, different approaches, so it's hard to switch between projects. But I try to get 4 or 5
Yeah.
pages of the same project done every day, and then I might do a cover, and then a couple of flats, and as well. So
Yeah.
it's a 12 to 14 hour day, 7 days a week.
Fair play to you, man. That's loads. But like, even as like a colorist, do you find that what's it like for you to get the hold of Dee Cunniffe comic in your hands? Is it crazy to you knowing you colored this?
Um, at first it was amazing. Every time I was like, oh my God, look at this amazing comic. And now I might get 4 or 5 deliveries of boxes of comics a week, and I open them and go, oh yeah, that one. And it gets
Yeah.
thrown to the side, and then I build up a tower of comic boxes, and I have to store them up, send them out to people, or uh, it does lose its luster and its excitement.
But the fact that you're working on so much comics where you're getting boxes every week, that's not half bad. The fact that
I
you're
know that's great, and because I do during the year or Christmas time, make sure I send out packages of comics to people. Like, I
nice.
don't sell the comics. Like, I'll cover postage, and I'll send out people who might not have the money to be going buying comics
Yeah.
monthly. That's, to make sure that somebody has a bunch of comics at Christmas. So most of my comps I give away to people. There's 2 young fellas who work down in my local centre who love comics. Like, I drop them down a package every couple of weeks of new comics as well. So
Yeah, see, after Irish comics, there's people like Declan and Stephen who are just the cruelest people in the world. But then there's good people like Dee who are just no. That's so incredibly kind of you. Absolutely, like that's just I can't even express how brilliant that is. But yeah, my last couple of questions before we wrap up, because I already took up so much of your time. What's your dream comic book character to work on? Who's a character you'd love to color that you just haven't gotten to yet?
Sandman.
Sandman.
Yeah.
You are
Well,
so quick with that. Really, it's
oh
Sandman.
yeah, because my entire shelf here is Sandman stuff. Hang on, let me turn you around and show you.
Oh man, you can absolutely see you're a Sandman fan.
Yeah, that Sandman is the reason why I work in comics, I think.
Oh wow.
Um, I was 17 when I discovered the Sandman.
Oh
When
wow.
it first came out, I was 17 when it first came out, and uh, whatever few pennies of pocket money I would have saved up, I would have spent buying Sandman books. And I guess when Sandman Overture came out 8 years ago, I quit my day job to work to help Dave Stewart out coloring that book, and that's where I turned from.
On Sandman, was it?
Yeah, I did
Oh,
flats. I did flats for Sandman Overture, and
at least you kind of always have that little Sandman.
yes,
Yeah.
but then I did a couple of issues of Lucifer, and I would have colored John Constantine, which is another absolute favorite.
Yeah, character. I love Constant.
The Angels, Duma, and I can't remember the other fella's name. The Angels who look after, who run Hell. I got to color those. Destiny. So I've tipped in a little bit into the
That's
dribble.
not bad.
I did actually get to color Sandman for a cover for Lock and Key Sandman crossover with Megan
Nice.
Hutchins, Kate. So I have actually colored Sandman.
Oh man, you'd be so good in a Sandman book. All you have to do is like ask, and I think DC would let you do it. You're so good at it. I think you'd be brilliant on a Sandman. But yeah, if you ever get that training, get Dee on Sandman. That'd be so cool.
I would do Sandman pages for free. Shh, I didn't say that.
He means €500 at least, DC. The exchange rate, that's probably $5. I don't know how it works. It's probably something like that. But I'll get you out of this, or I'll be your lawyer. I'll get you this job. I'll get blackmail on all the DC editors. Just for you, D. Don't say I don't do nothing for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let me ask you, what's your record for the most pages you've ever colored in a day?
Whew.
Can you even remember?
Depend. There's some books which would be quite a flat treatment where I wouldn't have to do much rendering or anything on them, so I could maybe pull out 10 pages or 12 pages in a day.
Nice.
If they're just color adjustments and a text over the top and maybe a bit of a lighting effect. Whereas there are some pages on certain books that like there was that spread in crossover 5 or 6 where they go into the dome and there's the big battle with every image character in it. I think those 2 pages took me 2 days.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh man. So yeah, no rest for the wicked anyway.
Yeah.
It seems like you're getting lots of work. But it's great to stay busy. Absolutely. Dee, my last and final question before I let you go back to your family who I've not kidnapped. What advice would you give for anyone looking to get into comic books as a colorist?
It's funny, Chris O'Halloran put out a tweet there a couple of weeks ago saying if anybody wanted to talk to him,
Chris is so good. Such good
to get credit or to get advice on that. And I piggybacked off that as well, because it is important to have people in the industry to bounce ideas off or to find out if you're going the right way or anything. So if anybody wants to advice personally from me, they can get in contact with me through Twitter. There was a guy who got onto me during the week. He started coloring a couple of months ago, and he's really good. And he was looking for how do you get DC and Marvel work, and I had to say well you just keep coloring, and you meet people who are of the same career development as you, and you do projects with them, you do anthologies, and the only way to make comics is to make comics. So you can't wait for somebody to come and publish your work. You either self-publish or you kickstart, or you do it on a Twitter or a blog or whatever it is, and you just keep making comics and keep making mistakes and keep getting better.
Absolutely.
So that's the way.
Listen, that's advice from the great Dee Cunniffe. Oh man, absolutely. I don't think we could wrap it up on a better note. Dee, before we finish up, are you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anything like that?
Just Twitter.
Just Twitter?
Yeah, I'm old.
You'll get away with it. You're such a good colorist. We'll let it slide. No,
so it's at Dezoid at Twitter. That's
Dezoid. Yeah. Any comics you like? Well, I mean, any comics you like promote will be here. 15. Make sure. Would you want me to read them out, because I don't know, you might spoil it?
No, hang on. Let me see. We've got crossovers continuing. House of L Volume 2 is out. Redneck we're finishing up on. Bad Karma available on Panel Syndicate. Can't say that. We Were Titans.
Yeah.
I think they're the only ones I can talk about.
Yeah, absolutely, not half bad. And yeah, everyone, before we finish up, everyone go check out Dee's work. And Dee, hypothetically, if I did have your family, you would have earned them back because this was.
Oh, okay, thank you very much.
But you do have your family, so technically, no harm, no foul. Everyone, thank you guys so much for watching. You can go check me out over on Twitter at SamboGizmo1, should you be so kind. If you have the means, as always, please make sure to donate to the National Deaf Children's Society. There'll be a link for that in the description. That is just if you have the means. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Go read all those brilliant comics. And Dee, it's been an honor chatting. I'll talk to you a little bit off air. But yeah, everyone, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.